Hi everyone, my name is Ronald Denisio and I'm the 7th grade virtual content specialist for social studies. In part 2 of this video series, I will talk about using an iPad and Apple Pencil to facilitate virtual learning. If you are someone who likes to share their screen on Zoom or Google Meet, an iPad is an excellent way to share your screen and facilitate learning for your students. If you have not done so already, make sure you watch part 1 of this video series to learn what steps you need to take to use your Passport to Social Studies slides on your iPad. For the purpose of this video, we will use the first lesson from Unit 4, A Nation Grows, Expansion and Reform, called Launching the Unit. So I'll take you through a few of the iPad features that I think are really useful. The top part, when you have the PDF Expert app opened on your iPad, you'll see this menu where the arrow is pointed at the top of your screen. This is going to give you lots of different features, including being able to use your Apple Pencil and choose a color for your pen for annotations, as well as a highlighter feature, an eraser, and also a note. So you'll see here the blue arrow is pointed to the color that you can choose for your Apple Pencil. This is useful when you're annotating a text or writing out responses that you hear from your students. When you click this feature here, you'll see that there are multiple colors that you can choose. You also have the degree and color thickness, as well as a color wheel that you can utilize when you are writing on your iPad and analyzing slides. The next feature I want to tell you about is the highlight feature. You can see here, similar to the color for the Apple Pencil, you have multiple different colors that you can select for highlighting, as well as the thickness and opacity. I find that using the highlighting feature enhances the understanding for my students and also models for them what I think is important for them to underline or annotate, as well as encouraging them to think critically and formulate their own responses about a text. You also have the eraser feature here, which you can use with your Apple Pencil as well to clean up any mistakes that you make. And finally, the sticky note feature right here on the right-hand side where the arrow is pointing is really useful for adding notes to your slides. I sometimes use it to add questions to our discussion, as well as annotations that students have made on their own documents that I want to present for the rest of the students. I find using my iPad in virtual settings really useful, especially during the introduction and model slides. For example, when you have an activity like this one from a Passport to Social Studies lesson, asking students what they see, what they think, and what they wonder, I can have students participate by sending their responses in the chat. And as I'm reading their responses and looking at their responses, I can make our class's thinking visible by recording it on the iPad, which is presenting the information for students. Additionally, while I'm going over the introduction and model slides in my Zoom classroom, I could pose a question by using the Apple Pencil and make connections to prior units or focus questions from previous lessons or essential questions like you see here. For example, when having a conversation with students about how the image reflects the idea of expansion and what would be some of the effects of this, as well as what is some of the evidence in the image of these effects, are they positive and negative, etc., I might also make connections to the Unit 4 essential question that I'm writing here. You can even use your iPad and Apple Pencil to write reminders for students as you're presenting the information. For example, when talking about manifest destiny, I felt that this was a really important definition that I wanted my students to record in their notebooks. So I took the time and I wrote that out. I'm telling my students on Zoom, record this definition. It's important. We will come back to it later throughout the unit. Using your iPad and Apple Pencil makes your synchronous sessions come alive. There are so many great opportunities to use your device. You can use it for the introduction and model slides, for the independent work slides, as well as the wrap-up slides in your Passport to Social Studies lesson. Now that you have all this thinking visible for students that you've recorded throughout your synchronous session, you can post it to your Google Classroom to have students look back on their class notes during future Passport to Social Studies lessons. I hope this video was helpful at looking at different strategies that we can use during synchronous sessions when using our iPad and Apple Pencil in virtual learning. Feel free to give these strategies a try, and remember, you can utilize these strategies when teaching any Passport to Social Studies lesson.